Good afternoon. It is wonderful to come together for the purpose of co-creating, is it not? It is important that you are understanding that is what is taking place, far more than a session of question and answers. There is much that we are wanting to offer. But we're wanting you to know that this gathering and what will take place, this co-creation, in fact, is brought about by your wanting. We are here to talk about those things that are important to you. Well, that is not to say that we do not have a specific message that we intend to wedge in the crack. What we are wanting to do is breathe some broader awareness into your physical experience, to help you understand more specifically why you are here, that you may reap the greatest, broadest, grandest, most delicious benefit from this physical experience in which you are immersed. We're wanting to help you feel, in a very real sense, your connectedness with your inner being. And we're wanting you to understand that as you receive this connectedness, it is not a new subject for you, we are aware, that not only does it enhance the physical experience which you are living here, but it enhances the non-physical experience of your non-physical counterparts. As you are gathered here in this small physical gathering, we are wanting you to acknowledge that the hallways are filled with those who are participating from their non-physical perspective. Many of them you already know. Many of them you don't know. Many of them have physical counterparts you are about to meet. Many of them have physical counterparts you have already met. The point that we are making is that this gathering is far more than your physical senses allow you to see. We are starting there because we are wanting to lead you in the direction of gaining some insight as to the importance of your beingness. So many of our physical friends do not understand how valuable they are. They think that they just somehow blundered into this physical experience and now they're here to prove themselves worthy of being here. Hopefully banging it out in appropriate enough fashion that they receive some greater recognition later on for it. And what we are wanting to do is to bring you to the awareness that all of your power is here in your now. You have so wisely chosen a dimension of time. For in this dimension of time, you have this glorious buffer in which to reason, in which to draw your conclusions, in which to decide. You have opportunity to chew upon much thought. You exist in what we see as a perfectly balanced society or culture. And in this place of perfect balance, it is our wanting for you to understand that there is nothing that you cannot be or do or have. But it does require your chewing upon enough data to make some decisions about what you're wanting to be or do or have. For there is not another that is deciding for you. As much as many of you, oh not you, we're speaking of you, as much as most physical beings would really like someone to make the decision and say, if you do this and this and this and this, then everything will be all right. Here are the rules, here are the guidelines, now follow them. As much as most of you believe that that is what you are seeking, in the moment that someone begins to suggest that sort of thing, you begin to feel your resistance because there is this powerful urging for freedom that is within you. What you want is to know that you're doing the right thing. You don't really even care what it is as long as it is the right thing. And so most of you come forth into this physical experience looking here, looking there, looking here, looking there for that philosophy of life, that then you can stand in your place of righteousness. And we're not sure what you think you will do then. Be, perhaps. What we are wanting you to understand is that you are here to chew upon the data of this life, to find through these eyes, through these physical senses, the perfect balance that you have discovered in your non-physical experience. And that is the perfect balance of freedom and growth and joy. And so as we are talking here together today, it is our intent that we may together discover some real physical basic ways of finding that balance, Oh, there are so many things that we could talk about. We could get our heads so far in the clouds that nothing that we would say would make sense to you. And as we are visiting with physical friends such as you, that is the way that we come to be able to put what we know as physical laws and processes into non-physical laws or physical laws, it is all the same law, into physical terminology so that you can sink your teeth into it and do something about it. Until you are able to know, which you know when you know, because you are led to an action that feels very good to you. Until you are in that place of knowing, then the words sort of just keep floating by, don't they? But when you know, you have that place of harmony, that place of well-being, and it is our expectation that that is the place that you are seeking. And it is further our expectation that as we are here together today, chewing upon what you are wanting to offer, that together we will find that place. All who are seeking it will find it and have it at any rate. There is no order of business here. This gathering is for you, and so let us hear from you. What is it you are wanting to talk about? Do not worry about saying something that others may not be interested in. You would not be inspired to your question if there were not others interested in it. More of you are receiving from your non-physical awareness than most of you are giving yourself credit. And so we encourage you to not hold back from that which you are inclined to say and say it. And let us get into a gathering where we can chew upon the basis of this physical experience for the purpose of making it better for you and broader for all that is. What are you wanting to talk about?
Hi. For a long time I've battled with depression and negative thought in my life. And it feels like a burden, and I'm now at the point where I take medication because I suspect there's a biological depression. But what I wanted to know was, where does the burden of negative thought arise? Why does that come up in the mind? What purpose does it serve?
It is so wonderful that you have asked the perfect beginning question.
Good.
We'll give you a little background. You know you're physical. That's not too hard to figure out. But most of you think in terms of being dead or alive. As you acknowledge that there is not death, that there is only life, then it is not hard to follow the thought that your inner being exists simultaneously. Very often, even after much conversation with Abraham, someone will say to us, Abraham, why have you chosen not to be physical? If you think physical experience is so wonderful, why aren't you down here having it with us? And we say, we are experiencing physicalness through you. We are your non-physical counterpart. You're getting the point? When you understand that every physical being that you see has a non-physical counterpart, then and only then can you begin to understand what emotion is. Because emotion, whether you call it positive or negative, is communication from your inner being to help you upon that path of harmony that we talked about, of freedom and growth and joy being in balance. Technically, actually, really, there are only two emotions. One feels good and one feels bad. But you call them all sorts of different things depending upon the circumstance and events. You've come to pigeonholing them or labeling them. When you are feeling a negative emotion, what it is your inner being saying to you that the current thought, word, or action is not in harmony with another intent that you have. It is simply your inner being's expression to you to let you know two things. The first thing is this is an important issue. Otherwise, you'd be feeling nothing. If someone you did not know called you on the telephone and said, hello, I'm calling to tell you I will never talk to you again, you would say, who cares? But if someone very important, then that negative feeling would be telling you that this is an important issue, you see. Secondly, it is telling you that while it is very important, you are currently focused upon the lack of what you want. You're getting the point? Every time you are feeling negative emotion, it is your inner being saying to you something very important to you, you are currently perceiving as being without. And it usually boils down to freedom or growth. But we would say for you primarily, it is your absolute quest for freedom. And you perceive yourself sometimes, often, as not being free. Now what we are wanting to tell you, and this is particularly important to you, while all beings who come forth into these physical bodies have in common the desire, the intent for freedom and growth and joy. You do not all come forth with the same degree of intensity about it. You have lived thousands of lifetimes, and through that living of life, you have come to know freedom. You have come to know the glory of growth and freedom and joy. And so as you come into an experience where you perceive yourself not to be free, it sends you crazy. You cannot bear it, you see. Even though it is not really happening, your perspective of it, the thought that you are giving toward it, is evoking a response from your inner being that says, wait, friend, you're giving thought in opposition to what you're really wanting. That is the place for you to stop and say, well, then what do I want? And as you acknowledge that what you really seek is freedom, and then you bask in that thought for a moment, acknowledging that technically, in every sense of the word, you are free. Friends, how much freer can you be? Every thought you think affects your experience. That is freedom, you see. What we are very much wanting to impart to all of you is that you could not be more free. You are so free that your thought and feeling brings into your experience. And so what you have been experiencing is some negative emotion that has come forth as communication from your inner being, telling you that you are in that moment. For the emotion always comes forth in the moment. Talk about a glorious guidance system. It lets you know moment by moment how you're doing. As you are receiving the non-physical energy of this universe, do you know you're receiving it? We do, because the doctor has not pronounced you dead. As you are receiving the non-physical energy of the universe, the way you contour it on your behalf is the way you think. As you understand your electricity and you plug your appliances in to utilize it toward the end that you seek, with this non-physical energy or current, the way you contour it toward an ending place is by contouring it with thought, you see. And so as you give thought and you think about it, you can trace it back even better than we can. If you will think about the beginning of those cycles of depression, almost always you can put your finger right upon what triggered it. But then what happens, because you did not understand what emotion was, and you did not know how to pivot off of it, the law of attraction begins to work for you, you see. The more that you feel, the more that you feel, the more that you feel, until, because you are such a great wanter, you go right to the depths of despair. Certainly it is biological, because everything about you is. And as your inner being is offering a block of thought for communication, the way the emotion works is by sending a signal that causes your body to do biological things that gives you a feeling response, you see. Your guidance system has been established by you and by your inner being as a feeling communication, because you can't talk and listen at the same time. You cannot transmit and receive a thought at the same time, but you can think or speak or do and receive a feeling at the same time to let you know the appropriateness by your standards. Not the appropriateness in terms of some great law in the sky. The appropriateness in terms of the balance of intentions that you hold, you see. As we are talking further today, you will get a very clear understanding of this process of pivoting. Good. What more?